welcome to a fresh episode of 18 Business on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. This is the network's medium of bringing the happenings in the economic sector of society to our discerning viewers. This program is aimed at bringing to the doorstep of viewers the business, financial and economic activities from all strata of society. Its deliveries are centered through the various stock exchanges across the world, news about government economic activities, private sector business activities, latest with expert opinions, stakeholders analyses, and correspondence reports. First, the headlines on 2025 budget. Rivers State government response as Assembly's ultimatum to Fubara expire. Lagos government firm unveil Africa's first carbon exchange. Anxiety as federal government tightens news on MDAs with new payment platform. And Nigeria ranks third among Africa's top 10 debtors. Federal government's 17.36 billion naira river ports still idle 50 years later, and power sector solar adoption surges over rising demand for reliable energy. Tinubu's foreign trips attracted $50.8 billion investments, according to the minister. Don't forget we are open for advertisement, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on our 18 socials on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. On Twitter, Atlantic TV Network. You can watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we head straight into our stories. Do stay tuned.
The board, management and staff of Morrison Media Group presents the 2025 anniversary lecture of Atlantic Television Network and Wish 99.5 FM. Theme: Imperative of Private Media in Sustainable Development.
Keynote speaker, Professor Tony Iradia, erudite scholar and broadcast guru. Chairman, Professor Umar Pat, President, Society of Broadcasters, Nigeria, and Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Kashiri, Gombe State. Panelists: Chief Honorable Arthur C. Kalabo, Information and Communication Expert; Dr. Haka Tuwait, Lecturer, Public Relations, Media and Communication; Dr. Bekwele Lawrence DK, Lecturer, Marketing Communication and Public Relations; Opaka Dakuba, Chairman, South Nigerian Union of Journalists; Susan Serekara Nwikana, Chairperson, Nawach River State; Chief Host, Dr. Chinyere Igwe, Esquire, FSM, FINC, FNINN, MNIM, ARPA, MIPPA. Chairman, Morrison Group. Date: 10th of March 2025. Venue: Dimeji Banquet Hall, Gate Place Hotel, Kilometer 5 East West Road by Obirikwere Flyover, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Time is 11 a.m.
Call Kennedy Paul Obofadi on 0802 301 5728. That is 0802 301 5728, or info@atlanticnetwork.tv or info@wishfm995ph.com. You can also call Laurentia Ogu on 0818 344 6746. That is 0818 344 6746, or lead content at atlanticnetwork.tv. This is signed by
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. And now on to the rest of our stories. Rivers State government has responded to the House of Assembly's letter on the Supreme Court's judgment and 48-hour ultimatum for Governor Siminalayi Fubara to present the 2025 appropriation bill. The Rivers State government disclosed that it was yet to receive a letter from the State House of Assembly regarding the resolutions made according to the Supreme Court's judgments delivered on February 28, 2025. In a statement issued by the Secretary of the State Government, Dr. Tami Wenike Gogo, the government revealed that as of March 4, 2025, neither the Office of the Governor, Deputy Governor, nor the Accountant General had received the letter. The response is coming barely a few hours to the expiration of the ultimatum given by the State House of Assembly on Monday to Governor Fugbara, among other demands, following the Supreme Court's judgment. The Rivers State House of Assembly, in a letter, prohibited heads of local government administrations from managing local government councils. Danagago stated that the governor, Simalai Fugbara, had earlier stated in a state broadcast on March 2, 2025 that he would obey and implement the Supreme Court's decisions despite his personal opinions on the matter. Meanwhile, there are indications that the Assembly will resume sitting today and that resolution is hanging. The government's response reads, I hereby refer to a letter dated 3rd March 2025 on the above subject, which we came across on social media, and notify you that as of the close of the work on Tuesday 4th March 2025, we are yet to receive this said letter. Neither the Office of the Governor nor the Deputy Governor's Office nor the Office of the Accountant General of the State has received this said letter. In a defining moment for Nigeria's climate and economic future, Greenpeace Africa and Lagos State governments have reiterated their commitment to integrating economic prosperity with global sustainability goals, marking a transformative shift that merges climate action with economic development. The reaffirmation was given yesterday during a media briefing held at the Sheraton Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos, with a focus on clean cooking access for Africa, leaving no one behind. The transformative initiative aims to address Nigeria's clean cooking needs while positioning the country at the forefront of the global carbon compliance market. The event highlighted the ambitious vision behind the 80 million Clean Cook Stoves project, the world's largest clean cooking initiative. The project is set to deploy 80 million highly efficient clean cook stoves across Nigeria, generating over 1.2 billion tons of carbon offsets and creating over 3.5 million green jobs. It also promises to alleviate the heavy reliance on wood, charcoal and kerosene, offering a cleaner, healthier and more sustainable alternative. President and CEO of Greenpeace Africa, Dr. Olawale Akinwumi, described the launch of the 80 million Clean Cook Stoves project as a historic step that will position Nigeria at the forefront of compliance carbon markets under the UNFCCC's Article 6.4R framework. He emphasized that the project is designed to improve the health and well-being of women and children. According to Akiwumi, the organization's leadership is a driving force behind the effort, while sharing his excitement about Nigeria's unprecedented position in the compliance carbon market. Lagos State Governor, represented at the event by the head of service, Bode Agoro, stated that Africa can no longer afford to be sidelined in the global carbon economy. Lagos State, he said, would set a new standard for subnational governments across Africa and the global south, pioneering green investments, decarbonizing public assets and fostering a self-sustaining green economy. Federal government may have concluded plans to migrate payments for public services from remitter to a new platform, the Treasury Management and Revenue Assurance System. TMRS is already being seen as part of President Bola Tinubu's search for a more efficient and revenue mobilization framework to curb leakages in public resources and boost revenues. The sudden change comes over a year after the National Assembly launched an inquiry into the operations of remitter over allegations bordering on non-remittance of generated revenues, among others. Whereas the findings of the investigation have not been made public, there are insinuations that the government may have sufficient reasons to find a replacement. Of course, remitter over the years improved the revenue collection process and tracking since 2012. Still, its operations were sometimes fraught with glitches, with some users calling it out for poor performance. A change may not address moral issues responsible for continued leakages in revenue collection agencies, as well as system rigidities. However, the government claimed the new platform is not intended to replace remitter but complement it to enhance revenue collection by ministries, departments, and agencies. The development has unsettled stakeholders, even as it has deepened the level of anxiety within the system, with experts observing that the explanations offered so far for the sudden change of platform leaves much to be desired. They are of the opinion that the federal government should provide more clarification on the real reason behind the sudden change. They fear that the government may implement the new platform haphazardly because of inadequate planning. According to them, while payment platforms play a role in financial management, it is unlikely that the core problems of transparency and accountability in government revenue management solely reside in the platform itself. 15 years after it was initiated, the federal government's 17.36 billion naira river ports projects remain inactive. While some have been completed, they are non-operational due to poor road connectivity, inadequate equipment, and poor funding for dredging and infrastructure development, while others are still unfinished years after construction began. This is despite efforts by the federal government last year to revive 3 moribund river ports. The Barrow Inland River Port in Niger State, awarded in 2009 for 3.56 billion naira, has been fully constructed. Similarly, the Onitsha River Port in Anambra State, rehabilitated in 2009 under a 4.66 billion naira contract, has been completed and concessioned to a private operator. However, neither port is operational due to poor road access and inadequate maintenance funding. Meanwhile, the Oguta River Port in Imo State, awarded in 2009 for 2.74, is only 65% completed, while the Lokoja River Port in Kogi State, which was granted in 2012 for 6.4 billion naira, is at just 56% completion, according to the National Inland Waterways Authority. The managing director of NIWA, Bola Oyebamiji, attributed the delays to a lack of budgetary allocations and escalating construction costs. In November 2024, the House Committee on National Inland Waterways pledged legislative support and increased budgetary allocation to complete the Lokoja River Port. Oyebamiji, who also despite completing some projects, he noted that inaccessibility hinders cargo movement, rendering the facilities ineffective. The newer boss warned that the projects risk being abandoned unless urgent funding is provided. He stressed that a public-private partnership remains the most viable solution, as the government alone cannot shoulder the financial burden of completing and maintaining the ports. He further admitted that additional dredging and improved navigability of river channels are necessary for optimal port operations. Africa Export and Import Bank, Afreximbank, has said Nigeria is one of the 10 African countries that together account for 69% of the continent's total external debt. In its latest report titled African Debt Outlook, a ray of optimism, Afreximbank said the continent's external debt level remains elevated, probably due to limited development of domestic financial markets and high interest rates. The bank further highlighted challenges and opportunities facing African nations in managing their debt. In the first half of 2024, 10 African nations constituted 69% of the continent's total external debt stock, up from 67% in 2023, the report reads. The countries leading are South Africa 14%, Egypt 13%, Nigeria 8%, Morocco 6%, Mozambique 6%, Angola 5%, Kenya 4%, Ghana 4%, Cote d'Ivoire 3%, and Senegal 3%. The growing demand for foreign exchange to finance imports has further exacerbated external indebtedness, fueled by reliance on aid, concessional loans from multilateral institutions, and competitive rates offered by private creditors. Since 2008, the external debt of African countries has escalated significantly, reaching approximately $1.16 trillion and representing 60% of the region's total public debt stock as of 2023. Projections indicate a slight increase in $1.17 trillion in 2024, with sustained growth anticipated, potentially reaching $1.29 trillion by 2028. Experts in the renewable energy sector said that solar energy adoption in Nigeria has grown significantly over the past 2 years, driven by the demand for reliable power, affordability, and shifting public perception. They emphasize that despite existing challenges, the trend indicates that solar energy is rapidly positioning itself as a key player in Nigeria's energy future with even greater potential for expansion. Chief Executive Officer of Excellent Glory Solar System, Dr. Felix Adekunjo, told newsmen that frequent blackouts and grid failures have made alternative energy resources essential, noting that many households and businesses are turning to solar to reduce dependence on the unstable grid. He added that the removal of fresh subsidies and soaring diesel prices have made networks more expensive to operate, making solar energy a cheaper and more sustainable alternative. Compared to 2 years ago, the cost of solar panels, batteries, inverters, and other solar components have decreased globally, partly due to advancement in technology and economies of scale. This has made solar systems more affordable for the average Nigerian household and small businesses. There has been a slight increase in government and institutional support for solar adoption, such as commercial banks, renewable energy financing schemes like Access Bank's switch to solar projects, and international partnerships promoting solar energy access, he said. Adekunjo noted that Nigerians who adopted solar energy in the past 2 years have become advocates for its reliability, particularly during periods of grid failure or fuel scarcity, noting that the word of mouth referrals have played a key role in encouraging more individuals and organizations to transition to solar solutions. However, he noted that despite long-term savings, upfront or installation costs remain a hurdle. Lack of skilled technicians, poor installations, and inadequate maintenance by untrained personnel discourage adoption, he added. Adekunjo also pointed out that many Nigerians still struggle to afford solar systems due to the lack of flexible payment plans. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Jumoke Oduwole has disclosed that the 30 foreign trips undertaken by President Bola Tinubu have attracted proposed investments worth $50.8 billion into the country. Oduwole spoke on Tuesday during the ministerial press briefing series organized by the Ministry of Information and Cultural Orientation in Abuja. The minister cited reports that the Nigerian economy needs about $50 billion to be steady in terms of foreign exchange. Said the president already generated much more investments through his official visits to foreign countries. Excuse me. She also noted that the country has expanded trade and investment discussions with 5 key global economies: Brazil, India, France, and the United Arab Emirates, to boost economic growth and create wealth for its citizens. She noted that the government was working towards ensuring that the investments come through. Oduwole said, as of December, Mr. President, over 30 international trips have generated $50.8 billion in announcements. That is huge for our country. The ministry's work comes in tracking those announcements and making sure that they come to fruition. For example, about 2 weeks ago, the Brazilian trip on the sidelines, we are the largest meat exporters in the world, meat producers in the world, announced that they would invest $2.5 billion in Nigeria. That's the sort of work that the ministry does to make sure that if there is an announcement of an investment or a trade relationship, that we make it happen. Aside from tracking these investments, our role as the Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment is to handle those businesses, to remove the regulatory and bureaucratic bottlenecks, to share information, the transparency and the efficiency of public service delivery, to support them in whatever incentives are. Exchange Commission to check the rising trend. 5 listed firms unclaimed dividends rose to 30 billion naira as of December 31, raising fresh concern about the issue. This growing backlog raises questions about the effectiveness of current measures put in place by the SEC and the willingness of companies to address the issue. Dangote Cement PLC, according to data, had a total unclaimed dividend of 5.2 billion naira. The figure had risen steadily from 4.4 billion naira in 2022 to 4.7 billion naira in 2023 before it went up to 5.2 billion naira. Similarly, Lafarge Africa PLC recorded a jump in its backlog from 2.7 billion naira in 2023 to 2.95 billion naira in 2024. Nigerian Breweries PLC saw its figure increase from 5.5 billion naira to 7.1 billion naira within the same period, while UAC of Nigeria PLC reported a rise from 4.95 billion naira to 5.4 billion naira. Nestle Nigeria PLC bucked the rising trend, but its figures remained high at the end of last year at 8.9 billion naira as against 9.5 billion in 2025 to 8.9 billion naira. The surge in unclaimed dividends comes amidst rising regulatory moves such as the e-dividend mandate, investor education, and know your customer compliance measures. The SEC has worked to ensure dividends are paid directly into shareholders' bank accounts. The Commission has also created a new application that enables investors to download and access their dividends in real time. Yet the numbers continue to rise. For investors, unclaimed dividends represent lost earnings that could have been reinvested or used for financial needs. Many retail investors, particularly those with small shareholdings, are unaware of the funds accruing in their name. In cases where shareholders have passed away, heirs often struggle with bureaucratic holders to claim inherited dividends. Companies also face challenges due to the rising backlog. A high volume of unclaimed dividends signals weak shareholder engagement, which could erode confidence and affect stock market participation. At a broader level, the accumulation of unclaimed dividends raises concerns about the efficiency of Nigeria's capital market, a market where investors routinely miss out on their entitlement, risks being perceived as inefficient, which could discourage both local and foreign investment. The persistent rise in unclaimed dividends, despite regulatory efforts, has continued to fuel concerns among investors, listed companies, and market operators. African Growth and Opportunity Act expires in September 2025, raising questions on the possibility of its renewal. AGOA is a program that allows eligible countries in sub-Saharan Africa to export 6,800 different products to the United States without paying tariffs or facing limits on the amounts they can export. It came into existence in the year 2000 when President Bill Clinton's administration passed some specific trade laws which included AGOA. Its purpose is to assist the SSA economy to promote a free market system, stimulate economic growth, and integrate into the global economy. AGOA was modernized and extended from 2015 to 2025. However, a concerted effort was made last December to renew AGOA. American Senator James Rich introduced a bipartisan bill that would renew the trade pact for 16 years, extending it to 2041. John James also introduced legislation that would extend AGOA for 12 years. Apart from differences over the time frames, the two bills were aligned in their support for an enhanced AGOA. Talking about Nigeria's participation and utilization of AGOA, preferences since the year 2000, the Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce said in the past that Nigerian companies had not taken advantage of AGOA. In 2023, Nigerian-born U.S. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Wali Adeyemo, noted that Nigeria has not taken advantage of AGOA and urged entrepreneurs and startups to seize the opportunity by selling their products and exploring duty-free access to the U.S. market. Analysts who spoke to newsmen agree that Nigeria has not benefited by not taking full advantage of the window. A capital market analyst, Ola Adeyanju, said that despite Nigeria's strong fundamentals, lack of basic infrastructures has rendered the citizens powerless against exportation. Cost of production and lack of basic infrastructures are seriously working against exporters in this country, he said. Three major oil companies, Coros Energy, Dubril Oil Company Limited, and Belema Oil, have admitted to owing a combined $5.5 million to the Federation account. This was revealed on Tuesday during an investigation by the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee, prompted by the Auditor General for the Federation's report. The committee listened to detailed testimonies from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, presented by Mr. Balarabe Haruna, which outlined the company's outstanding debts. A statement issued on Tuesday night by the media unit of the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee quoted the presentation by the NUPRC as indicating that Coros Energy owes a total of $814,680.06. Dubril Oil owes $3,021,193.71, which includes $646,605.55 for crude oil by production and $2,378,588.15 for gas flare. Aeroton Exploration and Production owes $78,486,303.27, made up of $45,094,125.31 for crude oil by production, $33,392,207.96 for gas flare, and now $16,027.00 for concession rentals. Belema Oil owes $1,703,617.68, including $977,793,054 for crude oil by price, 511. Responding, the Chief Financial Officer of Coros Energy, Mr. Oluseyi Simon, explained that the company's debts arose after an increase in the crude oil price rate. He noted that the company has consistently paid its liabilities and had already paid $5.3 million in 2024 alone, saying we will pay the balance before the end of the month. On his part, the acting managing director of Dubai Oil, which the statement simply identified as Mr. Clement, the company's financial difficulties stemmed from a decline in production during the first quarter of 2024. He added that the company had been trying to mitigate the situation through workovers on its wells, but the efforts were unsuccessful. However, Clement assured the committee that Dubai Oil plans to begin drilling new wells, and once production increased, will settle the outstanding debt. He further revealed that the company had been in discussions with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and had agreed to a payment schedule with an expected resolution by the third quarter of 2025. Indigenous bonded terminal operators have called on the federal government to implement policies that prioritize local content and enforce compliance among cargo handlers to safeguard the 3.5 trillion naira investment in the maritime sector. The General Secretary of the Association of the Bonded Terminal Operators, ABTO, Haruna Omola Jomo, stressed the need for government intervention, fair patronage, and are integrated into the country's cargo handling system. Omola Jomo urged the government to enforce local content policies that would ensure a percentage of cargo arriving at Nigerian ports is allocated to indigenous bonded terminal operators, similar to the model adopted in Ghana. Ghana has successfully safeguarded its economy by ensuring that a certain percentage of incoming cargo is reserved for indigenous bonded terminal operators. This deliberate local content policy has helped develop their country and empower citizens, he stated. He called for an urgent review of contractual enforcement actions are publicized. This will enhance compliance and create a level playing field for all operators, he added. The ABTO secretary also urged the government to involve indigenous operators in public-private partnerships to mobilize capital for building maritime infrastructure at Nigerian seaport. He noted that improved port facilities would boost efficiency, reduce congestion, and enhance the country's logistics competitiveness. In addition to infrastructure development, Omola Jomo advocated for increased funding for maritime education and training institutions. Adequate funding for these institutions will enhance their infrastructure, support research, and improve the training of professional manpower for the maritime sector, he noted. Omola Jomo further called on the government to enforce policies that ensure ports function as transit hubs rather than cargo storage areas. He added that delays in cargo movements contribute to congestion, inefficiency, and additional cost for businesses. Bank of Industry has reiterated its commitment to bridging the gender gap and accelerating economic opportunities for women entrepreneurs in Nigeria by expanding access to financing and business opportunities. Speaking at BOI's commemoration of International Women's Day 2025, themed Accelerate Action, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Ola Shupo Olusi, acknowledged progress in gender equality but highlighted persistent challenges. He noted that one of the biggest obstacles for women entrepreneurs remains access to financing, as women-led businesses received significantly less funding than their male counterparts, limiting their growth and economic impact. Citing the 2024 Global Gender Gap Index by the World Economic Forum, Olushi pointed out that at the current pace, full gender equality would not be achieved until 2051. Far beyond the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals target. He acknowledged Nigeria's improved ranking on the index, moving from 139th place in 2023 to 125th in 2024, and emphasized the need for continued efforts to close the gap. Olusi said to address this disparity, BOI has increased its financing allocation to women-owned businesses from 7% to 15%. We have disbursed 1.8 billion naira to 921 women-owned and led businesses. This is just the beginning. Our goal is to continue breaking down systemic barriers and ensuring women entrepreneurs have access to resources they need to thrive, Olushi stated. He highlighted Bank of Industry's various initiatives to drive gender-inclusive financing and business empowerment, including the Women Entrepreneurs Finance Initiative, WeFi Code, developed in collaboration with the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Development Bank of Nigeria and DBN to improve financial inclusion for women entrepreneurs. He says through his partnership with the Africa Guarantee Fund, BOI has advanced a $50 million partial risk guarantee initiative, prioritizing women-owned businesses and green MSMEs with a 75% guarantee to risk lending. He also noted Bank of Industry's role in implementing the 50 billion naira presidential conditional grant scheme, which provides 50,000 grants to small business owners, as 344,768 women have benefited so far, representing 40% of the total beneficiaries. Central Bank of Nigeria has appointed 16 new directors to head key departments. The directors' appointment took effect on March 3. The newly appointed directors are Jide Samuel Abasowamen, Director of the Information Technology Department; Abdullahi Hamisu, Director of the Banking Services Department; Ojumu Adenike, Director of the Medical Services Department; and Makine Olarewanju, Head of the Procurement and Support Services Department. In the Financial Department, CBN appointed CK Ijoma as Director of the Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Isa Olatinwo Aisha, Director of Consumer Protection Department, and Obo Victor Ubem, Director of Monetary Policy Department. Also, Nakoji Musa will head the Trade and Exchange Department. Yusuf Rakia will lead the Payment System Supervision Department. Vincent Modeshola was appointed to oversee the Strategy Management and Innovation Department. Farouk Mohammed is to lead the Reserve Management Department, and Akinwumi Olubukola Akini takes charge of the Banking Supervision Department. In addition, Solaja Mohammed Jami will be in charge of the other financial institutions Supervision Department. Hassan Umar will lead the Development and Finance Institutions Supervision Department, and Adedeji Adetona will steer the Currency Operations and Branch Management Department. China set an ambitious annual growth target of around 5% in Wednesday, vowing to make domestic demand its main economic driver as an escalating trade war with the United States hits exports. Beijing also announced a rare hike in fiscal funding, allowing its budget deficit to reach 4% this year as it battles stuttering employment for young people, stubbornly low consumer demand, and a persistent property sector debt crisis. The headline growth figure announced by Premier Lin Qiang at an annual Communist Party and conclave was broadly in line with an AFP survey of analysts, although experts say it is ambitious considering the scale of China's economic challenges. Some 12 million new jobs will be created in Chinese cities under the plan as Beijing pushes for 2% inflation this year. A government work report vowed to make domestic demand the main engine and anchor of growth, added that Beijing should move faster to address inadequate domestic demand, particularly insufficient consumption. And in a rare move, Li said China would hike its fiscal deficit by 1 percentage point, its highest level in well over a decade, which analysts have said it will give Beijing more latitude to tackle its economic slowdown. The growth target will be tough but possible, said Dylan Law, an assistant professor at Singapore's Nanyang Technological University. He said low consumption was a confidence issue, and that if people are in their own calculations worried about spending, especially on big ticket items, it is far harder to address. Another analyst said Beijing's policies were not yet big enough to really significantly drive up the consumer sentiment. We need to see a very broad-based recovery of employment, income, as well as the property market before we can really see a change in consumption patterns and retail sales trend. He is Shu, principal economist at the Economist Intelligence Unit, told AFP. U.S. President Trump said Tuesday that Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky has told him Kyiv was ready for talks with Russia and the finalization of a U.S. minerals deal days after the pair's explosive White House meeting. The dramatic collapse of Kyiv and Washington's wartime alliance has played out in the open since the televised dispute in the Oval Office last week, followed by Ukraine's top ally suspending crucial military aid. Zelensky has since sought to bring Trump back on side, posting on social media that their clash was regrettable and he wanted to make things right. In his address to U.S. Congress letter on Tuesday, Trump read aloud from a letter he said he received recently from Zelensky, which matched the social media statement. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians, Trump told U.S. lawmakers in his first address since returning to office. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Addressing Congress, Trump added that regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is set to sign it at anytime that is convenient for you. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko a close Lukashenko, adding that there had to be a deal with Zelensky since a large part of Ukrainian society is with him. In the Oval Office on Friday, Vice President J.D. Vance accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for U.S. assistance, and Trump berated the wartime leader as not having cards to play. Zelensky left without signing an agreement pushed by Trump for the United States to secure control over Ukrainian mineral resources. While Trump was expected to use Tuesday's speech to lay out a plan for the Ukraine war, he did not further detail how he envisages ending the grueling 3-year conflict. And now we look at the stock markets, foreign exchange market, and what the exchange rate is today. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll head right into the next story. Do stay tuned.
The board, management and staff of Morrison Media Group presents the 2025 anniversary lecture of Atlantic Television Network and Wish 99.5 FM. Theme: Imperative of Private Media in Sustainable Development.
Keynote speaker, Professor Tony Ibedia, erudite scholar and broadcast guru. Chairman, Professor Umar Pert, President, Society of Broadcasters, Nigeria, and Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Kashiri, Gombe State. Panelists, Chief Honorable Arthur C. Kalabo, Information and Communication Expert. Dr. Haka Tuwait, Lecturer, Public Relations, Media and Communication. Dr. Bekwele Lawrence D.K., Lecturer, Marketing Communication and Public Relations. Opaka Dokuba, Chairman, South Nigerian Union of Journalists. Susan Serekara Ndikana, Chairperson, Nawach, River State. Chief Host, Dr. Chinyere Igwe, Esquire, FSM, FIMC, FNIMN, MNIM, ARPA, MIPPA. Chairman, Morrison Group. Date, 10th of March 2025. Venue, Dimeji Banquet Hall, Gay Place Hotel, Kilometer 5 East West Road by Obinkwere Flyover, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Time is 11 a.m.
Call Kehinde Paul Obofadi on 0802 301 5728. That is 0802 301 5728, or info@atlanticnetwork.tv or info@wishfm995ph.com. You can also call Laurentia Ogu on 0818 344 6746. That's it.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Dollar hits 3-month low on Wednesday as the U.S. trade war with its partners escalated, while a major overhaul to German government borrowing triggered the biggest sell-off in the country's debt since the late 1990s.